Hi, my name is Britt Gilman, and I'm the Research Project Analyst at the Deep River Public Library. Since 2022, the Deep River Library and partners have been co-leading this local history project titled Not Born from a Virgin Forest, Deep River and Area's Earliest History. The title of this project is derived from early recorded accounts of Virginia Adams Hunt, who proposed that the area that we now call Deep River had housed families for decades prior to the arrival of the town, and therefore Deep River was not born from a virgin forest. This project was started in response to requests to expand understanding of life in our area prior to 1945. I'd like to thank our partners, the Schoolhouse Museum, the Laurentian Hills Library, Professor Stephanie Adams, Alex Stevens of Deep Tech, the Deep River District Community Foundation, and to the New Horizons for Seniors grant, who generously funded this project and made our work possible. The following oral history that you're about to watch is a subjective first-person account, an individual recording of life in the early days of Deep River and area. We hope that by asking questions and capturing responses, we're able to add these oral histories to our collection of historical accounts to expand understanding. Enjoy.
Welcome, Donella. I just wanted to thank you for coming and being part of this oral history project that's going on. We've wanted to find out as much as we can from people who are in the area who have experience prior to the 1945, in particular, when the town sites were changed and ACL came to the area. Can you tell us a little bit just about yourself and who you were, like what your maiden name was, and when you were born?
I was born at home, 42 Railway Street in Chalk River, in 1924. Went to school at SS number 3, Buchanan.
You were actually born here, and we're just wondering about your family and how they came to the area to begin with. About your grandparents, like who were they and how did they come here?
Well,
You've got some of that, yeah?
Yeah. My father came to Chalk River when he was 16 years old, and he was a telegrapher for the CP Rail. Mm. And he boarded with my grandmother, who lived on Wilson Street in Chalk River. And that's how he met my mother.
That's a good way to kind of get acquainted with the area and meet your mother. And
Isabella McDonald.
Okay. So that was your grandmother?
My grandmother was Elizabeth.
Oh, Elizabeth
McDonald.
was your, okay, so your mother was Isabel?
Isabella.
Oh, Isabella.
Yeah, most people called her Bella.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So how did she come to the area?
Well, it's a long story. First of all, my grandmother had a farm in Lake Dory, and her husband died. He drowned in Lake Superior, Jackfish, Ontario.
Oh.
He was a cook aboard the ship.
So this was your grandfather?
My grandfather. So when he died, she moved to the forestry, the tenant settlement. And she had a farm there.
Okay. So that would be...
That was changed again when they wanted to build the forestry building.
So you were displaced?
She had to move again.
Okay.
And she went to this boarding house on
Wilson?
Yeah.
Oh. So she must have been there for quite a long time then.
I have no
idea of when she moved exactly?
No.
Because the forestry would have been before the First World War, I think is when, or after, around that time, maybe after the First World War, that the forestry.
Oh, after.
After the First World War. Was your mother born in Chalk River, or did she?
Lake Dory.
Oh, she was born at Lake Dory before coming here. Okay. The Shultz family, where were they?
My dad had lived in Harrismith, Ontario, when he left to come to Chalk River. But he was born in Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Oh.
My grandparents went down there to help his brother. They had a store.
Okay. And so how did they get
back
here?
My grandmother wasn't well, and they came back to the farm near Harrismith.
Okay. So your parents were Isabella McDonald and Edward Shultz.
Yes.
And Isabella was already in Chalk River. How did Edward get here?
Train.
Came by train. The biggest way to travel, and
well, he was going to work for them,
and Chalk River became the place that he was able to find a job.
Yes.
Doing what he was doing. Great. And when your grandmother was in the tenant settlement, how did she? What did she do she lived on the farm, and so how did she have income?
She didn't. She was a widow then, and she had to make do with, her family helped her out.
And did she travel just by train, or how did she get around?
Horse and buggy.
Horse and buggy?
She had a horse, but I don't know what other animals she had.
And did she trade or sell what she grew at the farm?
Well, eggs.
Oh, okay.
I think I told you there.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that she traded those eggs for the salt and the sugar and the flour.
Yeah.
She must have had a lot of chickens. What about your own family? So your siblings and your parents?
Well, there were 9 of us. They pretty much all lived in Chalk River.
And
I went to school there, and they all, well, most of them went to the military for the Second World War.
okay. And you mentioned that I guess there was quite a few older than you. Who were what were their names and what?
Well, first of all, there was Gladys McDonald. She married McDonald. And but she went to Montreal after she got married. And Tom was in this Signal Corps, and he was in the Almont train wreck.
Oh.
And he was in hospital for 5 years before they took his leg off.
Did he stay back in the area after the
He came
accident?
back.
Came back?
Yeah, he worked at Atomic Energy.
Oh, that's good. Did he have a family here too, or did he stay
Yes,
single?
he had a wife and a son.
Ah,
And when he walked, that would squeak, you know. And they kidded him about having a bird in his pocket.
and who were some of the others?
The next was, I forgot to tell you about Donald. Donald was killed by a car in front of Dover store.
Oh my goodness.
He was 10 years old.
Oh.
But that was the main highway then.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't realize that the highway wasn't always where it is right now.
Yeah.
So Dover store was located right on
On the main street,
on the main
near
street.
the rail crossing.
Okay. And who was the next brother or another brother?
Willis, he went into the Navy, and he came home and went back to the railway. At that time, I think anybody who was in the services would get their job back after the war.
Okay.
That's how 3 of them got it to work.
Well, that's good.
And then there was Reg. He worked in the car shop at the CP Rail. And Gordon, he went to Montreal to, what's the name of the place?
I think you mentioned Angus shop.
Angus Shops, yes.
And what did he do?
He became a cabinet maker. You know, the passenger trains, all that kind of work.
Oh.
Varnishy.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And what about yourself?
I worked at Howard's store.
Where was that located?
That was across from the Chalk River Hotel.
Okay.
I worked from 8 o'clock in the morning until 9 at night.
Wow. That's a long day.
Yeah. And I got $7 a week.
That wouldn't go too far now.
And then there was a vacancy at CP Rail, so I went there. I was a yard clerk. I called crews and delivered telegrams and handled baggage and delivered telegrams.
It sounds like a pretty busy job.
And there's always something to do.
Yeah.
You know, always somebody around.
Well, that rail station was a pretty busy spot at that time,
Oh,
I
it
bet.
was. During the war, so many trains and so many troop trains.
Oh, okay. And this was a fairly major stopping place, I think.
Yes, divisional.
Yeah. In the area, certainly before the 40s and a lot of the movement of people, what was it, the Chalk River area like?
A lot smaller. But, you know, everybody walked. Nobody had a car. And there were kids down the plant road there. That was farming area, and they walked out, and then out the other way, Laws and Primrose, and they all walked out to the school.
So Chalk River was kind of one of the major, I guess, centers.
Yes.
Like it was one of the biggest places in the area for people to come and get supplies and schools and
Yes.
and everything else. You were mentioning where the highway used to go, and that Chalk, it wasn't where it is now, but was actually right along the railway street.
Yes.
Okay. And it went all the way out towards the forestry?
Yes. And not through the forestry, it just
On the edge?
bordered. And there was a bridge. There's a creek or something in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's still...
It ran along the highway as far as Thistle almost.
Okay.
Do you know where Thistle is?
No, actually.
The first and second, I forget the creek's names. There are two creeks there.
That are running out of Chalk River, basically, and then through there. I think one crosses the highway still.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and there is a very old bridge just up from that that I think they fish off of now.
Oh.
I think people fish off that bridge.
Oh, that's the main bridge.
Maybe.
Yeah. The other one was, you know where the highway goes? There's quite a hill and you turn.
Yeah.
That goes to Petawawa.
Yeah. So so it's before that where the road turns and the 4 lanes start and that now. So can you tell us more about the house that you grew up in and what things were like there?
We had an outdoor summer kitchen, and we had the winter kitchen and wood stove and a pump, hand pump, and
in your kitchen. It was the hand pump inside the house?
It's green usually and about that high, and
okay, so about a little over a foot high or
about that, yeah. We had a sink too, in the kitchen.
In the kitchen.
But there was no bathroom or outdoor toilet.
Just an outdoor toilet, eh? And did you have a lot of, did you have a farm or were you?
Oh, no, just
a house?
It was 2 lots. We had a garden.
Did you have your own chickens?
Yes, chickens, 2 pigs, and a cow.
So it wasn't a farm, but even living in town, you still had to have some animals and things to keep going.
I used to deliver a honey pail of milk to my aunt on my way to school.
So
and we always had lots of eggs and milk.
Okay. Well, it's nice that you're somewhat self-sufficient. I think we're trying to get back to that with a lot of people having their own chickens and things now. Maybe not so much pigs, but...
Yeah. And we had a barrel of sauerkraut and a barrel of dill pickles for the winter.
So where did those stay? Like outside or?
In the garage.
Oh, in the garage.
Well, we called it a car shed.
Okay.
And you'd have to chop that sauerkraut, because it was frozen. And we had salted pig.
Oh, so salt pork.
Our pork.
Okay.
We had our own pork.
So was that stored outside as well?
Yes.
The salt was what kept it from going bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most people lived on salt pork.
And were they in barrels as well?
Yeah, it'd be a barrel about that high. And
Okay, so 3 or 4 feet and, wow. And so you had the sauerkraut, the salt pork,
dill pickles.
and the dill pickles. And you made your own dill
Oh, yes.
pickles. It wasn't like you bought them in a barrel. You made them and put them in the barrel.
Yeah.
What kind of dill pickles? Was there anything special for the...
No, just ordinary
They
dill
weren't the
pickles.
cherry dills, or I've heard different
Oh, dill.
varieties. Just the dill, okay. What were some of the activities that you would do in Chalk River growing up?
Well, in the winter, there was always something doing, skating or sliding, or because the hill was right behind us, and there was another hill
the
behind
Blueberry?
the school.
Okay.
Did you ever slide down that hill?
I don't think so. I've heard of Blueberry Hill, but I don't know where
Oh,
that
that-
one was. Maybe a
That's
further?
on the way to the lake.
Okay. And they
And
had
swimming in the summer, sometimes we'd walk 3 times a day to swim.
Because Corey Lake, I guess, would have been
Yes.
the swimming hole, and everybody would get there, or would come together and
Yeah.
join
Oh, we even went after dark to swim.
on those hot days.
Yeah.
Yes, I guess you didn't have, some of the places wouldn't be that cool, because it seemed with the railway going through, there weren't a lot of trees in Chalk River, like big trees. There wasn't a lot of shade from some of the pictures
No.
we've seen. It was kind of cleared
Yes.
of trees, and so must have been quite hot at times.
Yes, I guess. And we're kind of in a hole.
Okay, so you didn't get a lot of breeze.
That's
Yeah. What did you use did you have toboggans and things like that for sliding? Or what kinds of,
probably, we didn't have a toboggan. We had a sleigh that had the runners on it. And everybody took a cardboard box to school and go down the hill there where the water tank is.
okay. So you brought your cardboard sleigh with you.
Yeah.
In the summer, what were the kinds of things that you did other
Well, there
than
was
swimming?
always a ball game. Chalk was noted for its ball players.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like sports was a really big, like not
Yeah.
just playing, but official games and teams were quite important there.
There'd be a parade on the 12th of July.
The Orangeman
Yes.
celebrations. Yeah.
And there was always something to do. I know our own kids, we had an open area near us, and there'd be a dozen boys or more playing. They only had one ball.
So you learned to share. Were there some people that really were commonly involved in organizing the sports teams?
No.
Like I've heard of
well-
Con Dover, and he seems to come up in a lot of the teams.
Well, that would be more for adults. It wouldn't be for
not
kids.
for kids. Okay.
But they had Boy Scouts and Girl Guides, and
Oh.
the church had something for girls too. I did before my time.
Before your time. Did the families in town, was church an important part of home life when you were growing
Oh
up?
yes, the whole family walked.
And how many churches would there be in a place like
There were
Chalk River?
5.
5. So there must have been, I mean, now I think there's only two
Yes.
still remaining. So what were the other ones? So right now you've got the United Church and the Catholic Church.
Used to be, there was a German church on the highway,
So for the Lutheran,
and Anglican,
Anglican?
and sometimes, you know, like Dave, Maine.
Oh, yeah, the Pentecostal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were there Jehovah Witness as well?
Pardon?
Were there some Jehovah Witness?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I had read something in the past that there were some down at the river near McQuestion Point at some point in time, but I don't know. I've never been able to find out more information, but I just saw it in some of the notes that Floyd had written. But obviously they weren't there. So who were some of the ministers or priests that you remember?
Oh.
Did you go, which church did you go to over the years?
United, the one that is now an apartment on the main street.
Right?
I guess you went to that too, didn't you?
I think I might have been baptized there, yeah.
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 And then there was a Sunday school built right beside it. But that's been moved over to corner of Church Street, I guess.
Okay.
Sold the building, and he
So
made it into a home.
Okay. So the original United Church would have been like Wilson and Main Street? Is that what that?
No, it was right on the main street.
Right on the main street?
Yeah.
Okay. And the Catholic Church is still further down on the main street? I don't know if it was always
on
there.
it was on the other side of the road.
Oh, it was on the other side of the road?
Yeah.
The original one.
I have some pictures.
Yeah, we might like to take a look at some of those.
And of the Catholic Church.
Yeah. But your family always went to the United Church?
Yes.
And do you remember any of the ministers that were there in that time?
Oh, if I could sit down and think.
No problem. You mentioned at the Catholic Church, I think in your notes, that there was a Father Harrington and a Father
Kadzioka.
Yeah.
He came here, he was a prisoner of war.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was a wonderful guy.
So he decided to stay after the war, or?
Oh, well, he came over here after the war.
After the war.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't even know. I think he was Polish, but I don't know where he was from.
Yeah. In the Chalk River area, what were most of the people, what did they do for a living? Like, how did most of the people make their money?
Well, there was the forestry, and you could, I don't know how to say that you could get kind of an allotment and cut the wood on that.
Okay.
The tree length. And of course you had to pay for it.
Okay.
They were thinning out the trees and that.
So they could do that inside the forestry?
Yes, right on their land.
Right on their land.
And haul it away.
Oh. So there was a forestry industry. You mentioned the railway was a lot of your family working for the railway.
Yes. And then in the early years, when they were changing the road over, the men got, depending on what government was in, they got hired to work on the highway.
So how did it change with what government?
It depended on who was in, what party was in.
So you mean people could get a job based on who they voted into the party?
Exactly.
Into government. Oh, that's an interesting, I hadn't heard that before.
Well, they were scarce.
Yeah.
You know, the war happening was kind of a benefit because, you know, they were making guns and ammunition and people could get in the cities. Even the women worked in the making artillery.
Yeah, yeah. Did everyone speak English in the area?
Mostly until they were beginning to build the plant, because that's when we got other people coming in. There were a few, like there was, we call that a German settlement down where on the Plant Road.
Right.
And there were quite a few French people came, like storekeepers and things like that.
And over the years, where did you work?
I worked at CP Rail, I said.
Oh, that's right, you mentioned that. Just moving on, you mentioned in one of the things about Dover's store, was that the largest store in
Yes.
Chalk River? What did they sell? Or what didn't they sell, maybe?
Yeah. Like you could buy a cord of wood from them.
Oh, so it wasn't just
And that-
groceries? Or
Oh yes, groceries, and there was a big box stove that was maybe half the length of this table.
And so basically that was your general store and you could get just about anything.
Yes.
And then,
And then there was Howard's store. Well, it would belong to a few people before Howard's had it. But
and that was across from the Chalk River Hotel?
hotel.
And the hotel was, so there was a hotel in Chalk River at the time
Oh yes.
and lots of stories.
There wasn't a ladies
Oh,
for a long time.
so only the men were allowed in the hotel?
Well, a woman wouldn't be seen in the hotel. But things change.
And did the post office or things like that, was that in another location?
Well, Leach's had the post office. Do you remember that?
No, I don't. But
It was right beside Dover's.
okay.
And then it took over the old Bell telephone building.
So basically, right where the train and Main Street, that was the center of Chalk River, like the two stores or the post office,
Yeah,
and the hotel not too far.
yeah.
And what, do you remember when the telephone, like when you had a telephone and things like
I
that?
think it was 1947.
Oh, so where did you go to use the phone, or nobody?
You didn't phone.
You didn't phone?
Sent telegrams.
Okay. So that was the telegram and was the main way to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when people got information, I mean, there were letters, the post
Yes.
office, and then and you mentioned that you delivered them from the, I guess from the railway station always had the telegraphs.
Yes.
So that became the main communication system.
And during the war, I had to deliver those telegrams. They hated to see me coming.
Because it wasn't always good news.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were there much social life? Was there a lot of parties or, in people's homes or at different locations?
People visited more.
Visited?
Yeah.
And were there dance halls or things like that, or
well,
did that come later?
No, the Orange Hall.
Mm-hmm.
They had dances there. Oh, during the war, there was a couple of nights a week.
Oh. So you had...
And the weddings were there.
Okay. So that was the main stopping place for dances and things like
Yeah.
that. And was there any, were they, the women were allowed at the dance halls? So was there a liquor and things like
No. Maybe outside, but
that? No liquor allowed inside?
no. No washrooms.
From when you were having children, you mentioned you were born at home. Was there much medical support in the area, or who
None.
provided?
Well, Mrs. Dick Tennant would come when a baby was being born.
So she was like a midwife?
Yeah. I don't know much about that, but you had to go to Pembroke to see a doctor.
Pembroke. So would people go by train, or if they could afford it? But
they could go on the train. There's no taxi,
no.
or somebody drives them.
You were mentioning people didn't. There were taxis later. Before the cars, how did people get around?
Well, there was the odd car. My father had a Model T first. And then he got a brand new car, a Chev.
They'd be prized possessions.
Oh, well, it lasted longer than he did.
Did people travel in the canoes or by boat, or?
Well, fished.
They were doing lots of
But
fishing?
they didn't have, not many had a boat or.
In the area, there were, the native settlements, Deep River. There was one, and I believe there had been one in near the plant site as well, and then other locations along the river. Did you have any interaction with the local native population at the time?
Well, they came in to shop because there's no store down there, but they had deliveries. They'd order something one week and they'd get it the next. And the mail lady, she would bring an order out if you got her in time.
Okay.
She delivered a lot of things.
Oh, so she would deliver more than the mail if she was on her.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, she did that out of the goodness of her heart.
And so would she have delivered to to Deep River? Or how
no,
far would she
she
go?
had more of the Wiley Road, and I don't think she had the road down to the plant.
Okay. And did they come as far as to Deep River, or just to the plant site and the people down there, or would she have actually come up, to the people living in Deep River at the river, the native settlement here?
Nobody, once in a while, to come to shop or something like that, but I never saw them until I worked at the grocery store.
Okay. With the land expropriations that happened, there was more than one that you alluded to, I think, with the forestry, when it came in, that land was taken and people were moved. How did those expropriations affect your family and others in the area, the different ones?
Oh, I don't think it bothered anybody.
No? They didn't mind moving their home?
Well, they were paid for their houses or property or whatever, but that's as far as I know.
Okay.
I didn't know many of them.
No?
If you don't have a car or go the same places they go, you don't know much about them.
Yeah. So your own family only was affected mainly by the one with the forestry and having to move from the tenant family, or tenant area, but you didn't have to move when ACL came?
No.
Just wondering if there was any other families that, did Chalk River grow with families that moved to Chalk River after they lost their farms?
The population didn't change much.
No?
No. Even when atomic energy came, I think it showed 400 in Chalk River for the longest time.
So most of the newcomers ended up coming to Deep River, or the people bought farming area outside of the town itself?
Well, I think most of the ones who worked at Atomic Energy wanted to live in Deep River.
Right. And
that's changing, though. It's amazing how many people are in Chalk River now.
Yeah,
I scarcely know where anybody lives now. Yeah. And they're coming from Toronto and living in Chalk River.
Yeah. You wonder what the connection is, or why they're interested in moving.
They get
there.
a pretty penny for their house in Toronto, and then they can live.
Are there any other things about your life, or even your own personal family? Your husband, was he from the area?
No, he's from Sturgeon Falls.
So what brought him to the area?
He applied, and they took him. He found out that they needed it.
So was he with the railway, or what company did he work for the railway? Worked for the railway. And then when he retired from the railway, did he keep working and find another job?
No.
Well, did he become reeve at some point?
We left here. They gave up this divisional point in Chalk River, so they didn't run the yard here. And so we went to Sudbury, and he retired while he was there.
Okay. And then you moved back after retiring?
Well, we had a cottage here.
Okay. Was that a family cottage, or?
Well, we had it with my sister-in-law. We all used it.
Okay, yeah. And so when you moved back, did your husband become the reeve of
Yes.
Chalk River, or Laurentian Hills, or Rolfe Buchanan? I think it was Rolfe Buchanan.
Yeah.
That he became the,
Oh, we were living in that area then.
Okay. So you lived outside of Chalk River itself,
Yes.
and you had the property on the river.
Yeah.
And how long was he the reeve?
Oh, just one term.
One term? That's great. Is there anything else that you can think of that you wanted to mention that maybe I didn't ask about, or?
I had a sister, Shirley.
Oh,
I didn't add that.
okay. So where did where did she work, or what did she
She
do?
worked for Bell Telephone in Chalk River.
Oh,
And then when she got married, she went to the Toronto area, and they took her on Bell again, and she became a widow. So she was grateful she had.
a job, and
Yeah, she stayed in that area. She's living down in southern Ontario now.
okay. So are there more of your family still living in this area?
No,
No, they're all gone?
I have a niece. That's all.
I don't know if there's any other things. If not, we can close off the interview. And
Okay.
thank you so much. It's been wonderful. I've learned some more about the area. Having known Donella since I was probably born.
Yeah, I
At least
remember that.
because we both went to the St. Andrew's United Church, and she would have been similar age to my mom.
Well, when your mother and dad,
Yeah.
your dad and I were head of the youth group, or no, I guess it wasn't the youth, at the church.
My mom and you
And your dad?
and dad. Oh,
Yeah,
I'll have to ask him about that.
yeah. We had a group of, well, I was married then, I guess.
All right. Well, we'll close things off, and thank you so much.